You're good.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the Clover Garden School Board of Directors meeting at 6:41 on April 8th, 2025. Ms. Verakin, role and mission.
The role of the board, we are entrusted to care for the current school and stay focused on the vision for the future school. No trust, no unity, no progress. Mission of Clover Garden School will foster community, generate enthusiasm, challenge students academically, and produce successful citizens.
Thank you. Has everyone had a chance to review tonight's agenda? Do I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda? Ms. Foster, second. Mr. Young, all in favor? The March minutes. Has everyone had a chance to review the March 11th minutes? Any changes or updates to those minutes? Do I have a motion to approve the March 11th minutes? Mr. Russell, second. Ms. Russell, all in favor? Thank you. I believe we have public comment tonight. Ms. Merle, our vice chair, will read a statement, and then we will have those of you who have public comment to step up.
Right. Thank you for taking the time to come before us. We value your feedback and contribution to our school and community. We recognize that this process is a bit awkward in that we are not able to engage in a dialogue or come to any decisions today related to any public comment. The purpose is for you to be able to express your thoughts, and we take our duties to listen seriously. All public comments will be taken under advisement by the board, but may not produce a written or spoken response. We ask that all public comments provide just the facts and should not include personal information of students or personnel in order to maintain confidentiality. We ask speakers to avoid using names of students or staff and maintain confidentiality and privacy standards. All comments should be thoughtful and respectful. No raised voices or inappropriate language will be permitted. Be mindful that what you say here is public, and the names of the persons providing public comment and a brief summary of topics or input will be included in the meeting minutes published. We allocate time by issue, no more than 3 minutes per person, which may not be given to another person. We take all of your public comments seriously. The board will discuss, and if there is an action that needs to be taken, it will be reflected in the minutes and communicated to you by the director.
First person.
Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Lauren Wynn, and I know I'm just a freshman, but I'm standing here today on behalf of students who are directly affected by the recent changes of our school's community college course access. While I might not be eligible to take these courses yet, I see what's happening around me, and I care deeply about the opportunities that are being taken away from the students who have worked hard to earn them. The school's decision to remove all my community college courses and to not offer transportation to off-campus options is not just inconvenient, it's unfair. It blocks students from accessing classes they need to stay on track with their academic goals, especially those who don't have reliable transportation or flexible family schedules. These students are not just asking for a shortcut. They're asking for access to the tools they've earned through hard work, high performance, and ambition. Clover Garden prides itself on academic excellence. We talk about how much our test scores matter, and rightfully so. But this decision goes directly against this priority. Because we deny motivated students access to higher level coursework, we are slowing their progress. And in the long term, we are risking their academic standing we have worked so hard to build. I'd like to tell you a story about a student that goes. I will not mention her name for privacy reasons. This student has consistently earned highest test scores in the school. She's dedicated, high achieving, and already preparing herself for careers in colleges. But because of this new policy, she's seriously considering leaving Clover Garden altogether. And if we lose her, we don't just lose a student. We lose one of our strongest academic assets, and it's not just her. There are many more students like her who could be thriving here, but now feel like they're being pushed out of policies that don't support their growth. I'm not speaking from only personal opinion. Over 50 people have signed a petition asking the school to reconsider the decision. That's over 50 voices, students, parents, and staff, who are directly affected and who believe that this policy is not in the best interest of the academic community. We are respectfully asking the board to restore access to online community college classes or provide transportation options for students taking the classes off campus. We believe the mission of Clover Garden, but we also believe the mission should include helping students reach their full academic potential, not holding them back. Thank you for your time, attention, and considering a real impact this policy is having on real students.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Public comment? Thank you. Okay, that takes us to the finance. The March 2025 budget. Has everyone had a chance to review that? Any questions? Ms. Lane, you've reviewed? Yes. Do I have a motion to approve the March 2025 budget? Ms. Lane? Second, Mr. Young, all in favor? Thank you. Ms. Simmons, the Prestige Grant Writing Contract for Title I and IDEA.
Yes, ma'am. Would ask for motion for a vote to, approve our 25-26 grant writing contract with Prestige for federal funds. There's no change from the 24-25 school year.
Any questions on that? Do I have a motion to approve the Title I Prestige Grant Writing Contract? Ms. Lane, second. Ms. Foster, all in favor? Thank you. Takes us to academics, principals update. Dr. Morris and Spencer.
Everyone. I just want to take a moment to introduce our spotlight presenters, representing the K-8 grade level group. That's our first grade team. They're going to be coming up. We have the first of Mrs. Lewis, Mrs. Thompson, and Mrs. Wright. For going to share. To give you like a little look-see into everything that we've done this school year. We started off with October, we had our fire safety month. We had some members of the AO fire department come and just teach the kids about fire safety and gave them a tour of the tools inside the fire truck, and that was a really new experience for them. Back in September, we did flags for first graders. It's something that we do every year. We have veterans from the community come in and teach them about the American flag and the importance and the history of it. And it's really neat because they always get to take one home with them, which they always enjoy. This is a look at our 100th day activity. We all did different activities inside our room, but it was all focused on counting to 100 with different activities. In my classroom, I had them make t-shirts with 100 items on it, and so that was neat to see all their creations.
I pulled in one of mine, which I challenged the kids to read 100 books for the class for the day. So that was one of their stations, but they also, any second they had a book open and they were reading it. And I'm like, well, if you're reading a big book, we can count each chapter. And at the end of the day, we were like 3 books short. And the kids are in line with their books open and like, we need to read now. We're gonna come back inside. It was really cool. It was a lot of fun.
One of our fun things that we like to do is dress up like that they are 100 years old, and one of our students had a little life alert. He's been walking around. The first time, what's your neck, buddy? And he showed me, he's like, press this if I fall.
I need that back.
Yeah.
Something always fun as we're across America. The whole week is full of, Dr. Seuss themed. Definitely reading lots of Dr. Seuss books. We did several different spirit days. One of them was Wild About Reading, and they all came in with their animal print.
outfits on. And then the last day they did, character day, and I had one of my very own dressed as Cat in the Hat, and I thought it was very cute. I'll let you take over.
So this group has not gone on a field trip yet. They didn't go in kindergarten, and this was their first experience to go on a field trip. We went to Camp Chestnut Ridge in Evelyn, and they did an amazing job. They had a variety of different options that we could choose from that all fit within our science standards. And we chose we had some that we did force and motion, animal adaptations, I believe it was, as well as rocks and minerals. So each class got to rotate between those three stations, and in force and motion, they were working on inertia. They built catapults and shot marshmallows, and they got to take those home, had a ton of fun with it. In the animal adventures, they learned about the differences between reptiles and amphibians and birds, and got to touch someone, watch the turtles eat food, and it was really cool. It was neat to see when I asked the kids at the end of the day, you didn't get one answer of what their favorite was. Some kids really loved one, where other kids, it was the animals. And then the last one we did was rocks and minerals, and this was some of their favorite, and they got to come home with 3 different rocks to start a rock collection. But they learned about rocks, and they took some time to take a variety of rocks and test them to figure out from what they could see their hardness and the way they reacted with water, and develop those scientific skills to figure out what the different rocks were. Did a really good job with that.
Just want to add in here too, these kids were an absolute great representation of
Right.
CGS. I couldn't have asked for them to be, better behaved. They were wonderful, very wonderful. And then the last part here is our iReady race challenge, and we're also in my classroom we're doing iReady punch cards just to kind of give them a little bit of a motivation to get their iReady My Pass done. So how our iReady race chart works is we have it broken down into multiples of 20. And so every 20 lessons that they pass, they get to move across our board, and the goal is to end at 100, and whoever gets there first, we'll get a prize there. For the iReady punch cards, how it works, in my classroom, I'm pushing that every day in small groups, get your lessons done, and they know on Thursdays, I'll put my report. I'm like, you don't have to show me every day that you got them done. I'll see it on Thursday. But they are very excited, asking, can I get on an iPad? Can I get on an iPad? And so that has been a really good thing that we've implemented. That's getting them motivated to get those lessons completed.
Okay, so as I was driving here, I was reflecting on our year. And I was thinking about, as a team, when we first came in July, we met with our admin team, and we were really, really nervous about this group. And it has been quite a trying year. And I can say that we had 2 main goals. It was social, emotional goals, how to make sure that they act like students. How can we show them how to be students and be in a classroom, talk to adults, work together, be in centers, how to be a human being in your own space. And that was very, very difficult, because as an educator, we have all agreed you cannot access that curriculum if those behaviors are not under control. So we really got together, and we looked at the test scores, and we were very nervous, and we rolled up our sleeves, and we said, okay, we need to make sure that we teach them these social emotional skills, make sure that they learn to work together, and then literacy. And those were our 2 main goals. And I remember when we were sitting on the playground one day, we let them stay outside just a little bit longer, because we saw that they were all sitting on the curb, and they just weren't sitting, but they were actually playing an organized game. And we thought, wow. We're gonna give them an extra 5 minutes, because we worked so hard for them to get to that point. And guess what? Eventually we kind of conquered some of those behaviors, And we've seen a tremendous amount of growth in their reading and their math. Of course, we're all hard on ourselves and we wish that they were higher, but we know that we've done our best. We did our small groups and we're gonna keep pushing to the very end of the year. So anyways, that's first grade.
So representing the high school, we have Ms. Bryant, and she is in our English department, so she's gonna show you guys some of the fantastic things going on in our high school English department.
Right, and I brought some props. And I'm gonna ask you to turn around again, I'm sorry. I feel a little bit bad about it. So, I love listening to the first graders talk about, you guys talking about reading and making it fun, because, you know, that's my challenge and that's what I'm talking about tonight. So I feel like when you think back to elementary school, making reading fun, the 100 days, that's huge, like the 100 books, that's so cool. And my third grader did the camping reading day in third grade that they do is such a core memory where they put up tents and they can read in the tents and it's so cool. By the time you get to high school, a lot of these kids are kind of burnt out on reading or they don't remember how it's fun anymore. They're kind of like about reading. And so I feel like my job or one of my main tasks as the English teacher is to try to figure out how to make that fun for them again. So I wanted to kind of show you a couple of the things that I do. One of them is that I have them read choice books. They get to pick what they read for the first few minutes of class every day. I call it the silent first five. And this is based on research that students who read frequently on their own have better literacy skills. Oh.
You may scroll and bring it up.
Okay. Sorry.
You're good.
So the students are challenged to bring in books of their own to read during this time period. And I brought just some examples. Some of these are books that I have brought, so I keep them in the classroom as well. We also have kind of a high school library of sorts, so there are some young adult books, but this is a thick book. This is nonfiction. I have a student who's super interested in finance. And he's super interested in budgeting. His first book was a budgeting book. And so I picked this book up for him and he chose it as his second book. I'm like, I got this book for you. You need to read this one for me and tell me if it's any good. So he's working his way through this one right now. I was pretty impressed by him doing that. We've got some other ones, some great young adult books. You know, this is a classic. You might remember that. It's been around forever. But I don't care what they read. Like this one's not very long. It's written as a journal. It's more accessible to kids who are just not that excited about reading. Not every kid is going to pick up a book this big, right? It's just, they're not. Okay, this is not for everybody. So I have some smaller books too, and books that can be easily chunked. But I don't really care what they read. It's just the fact that they're reading something that they're excited about. And it's great to see students find, oh my goodness, I didn't know I liked romance novels. I like romance novels. I'm going to read these now, right? And get excited about it and continue through. So just some facts for you based on the research. 5 minutes of reading can reduce stress by nearly 60%, as well as improve concentration and focus by as much as 11%. And this is do they have access to this folder? You guys have access to this folder? So there's a link there if you want to go look at that. But and I presented that to the kids at the beginning of the year and I said, this is why we're doing this. I want you to come into class. I want it to be quiet for 5 minutes. Let's just read for 5 minutes. And sometimes it'll go longer. I have certain classes that I set a timer for 5 minutes and I say, you have to be quiet for these 5 minutes and read because it's not all of their things or they're wiggly. It's the end of the day. But some of my other classes, I could sit there, we could do it for 20 minutes. They would not complain. They would not complain all month. They're doing my attendance and whatnot. I'm like, ooh, it's been 8 minutes. I need to stop them. They don't care. They want to keep reading. They're enjoying it. And it really does start off our class very nicely. We're relaxed, we're concentrated, we're ready to go. There is a journaling component to it that I check bi-weekly, but the most exciting thing to me is that there is a website. It's called Goodreads. There's also an app. You can track your books on there. So I plug them into that website and that app as well. Part of their project, when they're done with the book, they have to create a review. And they have to interact with kind of the global community of readers. And so what I'm hoping, of course, is that they'll like this website or this app, but they'll find a different one that they like, and it'll help them continue to read. Because this website in particular, when you say, I liked this book and this book, it'll go, oh,
you might like this book. And it'll give it to you. And there's reviews from other readers too. So I'm trying to get them to interact with that a little bit to create a routine and a hobby. So they keep reading, because that is really the only way they're going to get better at it. It's the only way. I also try to present a variety of reading materials. So right now I have some students doing a semi-autobiographical novel set in 1940s China. We also read Anthem. It's a speculative fiction novel about a futuristic world. It's less than 100 pages. It's always a popular one because it goes fast. We read Animal Farm in 10th grade. Some of you might remember that one. It's been around forever. It's a satirical fable style novel about Russian communism. Things Fall Apart is one I do with my honors 10th graders. It's a fictional tale about colonization in Africa. And then Night, which is a historic autobiographical novel about the Holocaust. So it's like a variety. I really try to pick things from all over if I can. There's a heavy historical component in several of them, of course. We do Romeo and Juliet, but we do the No Fear Shakespeare version. So it's a more modern day translation and they love it. I have wait, what? That was a double negative. Every class is into reading Romeo and Juliet out loud. I know that sounds a little bit crazy, but they're all into it. They fight over the roles. I get to be Romeo today. No, I do. Okay. It's fun. It's so much fun to read it out loud and they can connect with it so much better. I do a lot of short stories and I try to make it a variety. So I do some older and some newer. I'm about to do one that's a more modern science fiction one. Science fiction isn't my thing, but I want to connect to all of the kids. So I got to do a little bit of everything. And then poetry, I do modern slam poetry and modern poets as well as the older stuff. So really trying to reach everybody. It's really interesting to see kids come in and go, poetry, ew. And then you put a modern poem up, like not the old stuff, not Robert Frost, not Shakespeare, the new stuff. And they go, wow, like that connects to me. I like that. I also am pretty famous around here for my free range readers. Probably gonna go outside tomorrow if it doesn't rain on us. I hope it doesn't rain on us tomorrow. I have to look at the weather. Probably cursed myself. But when we're reading books, I like to give them some choice. I call them my free range readers, like free range chickens. You know, you kind of let them eat wherever. That's really how I think about it though. I feel like reading is one of those activities that if you're like sitting at a table, that's just not for everybody. So I like to let them sometimes read in social groups. It kind of depends upon the kids and the maturity level and what they're able to handle too, of course. But some students want to stay in the classroom and read quietly. Some of them want to get in a group and read with me. Some of them want to get in a group and read with a buddy. Some of them want to read out in the stairwell right outside my room. Some of them want to read in the empty classroom across the hall. You know, sometimes we all want to go outside and read if it's a nice day. So I try to be free range about it. Because I don't know, I think it helps. I think it helps to read in different locations and it makes it a little bit more fun. Some of my kids are so social about reading, like the social way to read together is so much better for them than just sitting at their desk and staring at the book for 20 minutes. They like to talk about it. And then I also like to do creative projects and I brought a couple in. If you want to see them, you can. But I do choice projects where I'm like, 40 points of your grade is this. Everybody has to do this part, right? But then how you earn the rest of the points is up to you. And I try to spread it across a variety of things. So I've got some artistic options. This was from Beowulf and my seniors, where they had to illustrate a scene. Beowulf fights a dragon, it actually kills him. Spoiler alert, it's a really old story. So if you were gonna read it, you probably would have already. Beautiful option. This is from that Anthem book about Russian communism, where they had to design what the different jobs outfits would look like, what their interpretation of them. And they had to be able to defend it for me. So like this one's the House of the Peasants, they're the farmers. She has little seed baskets for her seeds on the side. So that's pretty cool. This student for Romeo and Juliet made them a wedding book. All right. And I mean, it is so detailed, it's insane. All right, it has wedding vows. It has what would the priest say? Where would everybody sit? Because you know, not everybody got along in that book. All right, what would their rings look like? Where would they go on their honeymoon? Who's signing the book and who's not? I mean, it's very detailed. It was really cool. I also have options where in one of the books, two of the characters end up together at the end and the woman's pregnant. So you got to do a baby shower for them. How would we theme that? What would that look like? Can you base it on the novel? I've also got a clip or at least a picture, a still picture. I did ask the student if I could use this for the base, it's not in it.
This is a student who choreographed and performed her own dance to a scene in Romeo and Juliet, and she had to write a reflection about why she choreographed it the way that she did, and it was beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. It's Juliet's death scene. It's beautiful. I've also had a group do a cheer routine. Some of our new cheerleaders did a cheer routine for me. And it was to Romeo and Juliet when all of the sword fighting is happening. So they were cheering for Romeo when he was killing Tybalt. There's part of the decorations for one of the baby showers. They can also make me memes. It's not worth a lot of points, but they all love doing it. It's worth like 5 points, you know? But they love it. I have a slideshow they can all add them to so they can see each other's memes. Hilarious. I forwarded them to Miss Wilson, who was our English teacher last year with me. And I said, you guys see these? They're so funny because she used to teach this book to me. This is another student who made a real estate listing for one of the settings, the homes in one of the books that the character had never been in a home like that. So he describes what the home looks like and they made a real estate listing for it, which I thought was really, really cool. One of our staff's students made me a creative science project. His mom may or may not be a science teacher here. So he probably had some help, but it was wonderful. He did a 3D model of an invention that the character in the story makes. And in Anthem, the character creates a box of light. He recreates the light bulb. In his society, everything's been lost. So he recreates the light bulb. So this student made this thing light up and like did it in my classroom. And so it was great. Great stuff. And that's all I got for you. There I am. I'm trying to make reading fun.
Good job.
Thank you. That's right.
Is that all, Dr. Martin?
Our presenters,
Yes.
yes, and then we have a few things just to go over,
Okay.
some updates.
Yes, you can.
So in the list of honor, it's the time of year that I love the most because a lot of our students are starting to get recognitions. Alexa D'Alto was selected for the Elon Academy opportunity. So she will get to participate in that throughout her high school career, and they help follow them when they are in college, their first year to help that success. And then we had Josie Hafines that was recently selected for the North Carolina State Employees Credit Union People Helping People Scholarship, and she was awarded $2,500 annually during her enrollment at Josie University, which is UNC Chapel Hill. And so we just wanted to shout out some of the cool recognitions that our students are starting to receive at this point.
Nice.
For our assessment data, the 11th grade students completed the APT on March 11th. The curriculum instruction, we're going through Infinite Campus training right now. So with our staff, our admin team right now is doing that training, and then we hope to be training other staff later on. We just finished our MOY. We're in the midst of training some of our teachers and going through their check-in data and some of our end of year data. We're doing one-on-one trainings with them and just going through some of their, I guess, data meetings, deep dive into data meetings. So we're still continuing. We have a couple more of those right now with them. And then our K-12 had an NTSS meet, just on 3/31, and we completed our FAMS data. So we did see just a little bit of growth in that, so we have to be able to share all that.
For scheduling and advising, the advising team has gone through the rising 9th, 11th, and 12th graders. And we're almost finished with the rising 10th graders. So we'll complete that this week. So everybody will have a draft schedule.
And by way of community and culture, Coach Pascal shared some updates with us in the world of athletics. So hopefully soon, we're looking to break ground here at the high school campus in the Banning area. As well, celebratory news, Camden Oler, he just won the Mid-Piedmont Singles Championship. And middle school women's soccer has had an undefeated regular season, and so they'll participate in the semifinals, which are Wednesday, that's tomorrow. And then, and then the finals are Thursday, April 10th. Also, upcoming, the Brown High School Athletic Awards will be on the 19th. That will be held at 6 o'clock with a social time that will begin at 5 o'clock, and that is located on Trailhead Church, and that's in Graham. I'm gonna pass it over.
Cool. So our first class won the attendance challenge. It was supposed to be hot and ready pizza. They vetoed my idea and they did breakfast from Chick-fil-A. So, Ms. Bellamy's class won the first round. We still have one grand prize to win and then a couple of, second place prizes. So the teams are very competitive about it and it helps our attendance rate. So it's a good thing.
Prom 2025 was a success. The juniors and seniors had a really good time and danced the night away. Student council, the junior civitans and mentors, they helped us do guided 8th grade tours of the high school campus on 3/21, and it was really good.
And under health and safety, we did conduct a tornado drill on the K-8 campus on the 27th of March. Went well, we took notes, and we'll get better each time we do that. And plenty of dates to see at the bottom of the list. Busy month, babe.
Thank you.
I've got to add on a little bit to the report. So in your file, you'll see, so the 21st, that was great, but then there were some not so great things that happened. So we had an issue with our report cards. So we had a situation in which report cards got sent out electronically through a program that we use. It was an add-on. It was a third-party add-on that we just started using this year. And actually just started using around September, October. And we had to start using this program, which I'm gonna go over here so Mr. Huffman don't have to turn around sideways. One more task. So we had to change, because we used to use Swift K-12 as our communication methods. So all of our email, all our text messages, all of the stuff that goes out to all of our families went through Swift K-12. And it was programmed. So that program ended up being sunset. It was expired. It expired over the summertime, and then you could extend it a little bit if you used a different program, you switched contracts. So it closed down. So that's why September, October is when we started using this new program. So within School Messenger, there is a platform that sends secure documents. Okay, and so the way it's created is so that it only goes to who it's designated for. So we ended up doing report cards for second quarter in December, had no issues. It was great. I was all scared because it was the first time we've ever used that program, but it went flawlessly. So it was great. So I'm like, okay. So we tried it again for quarter 3 and had a mess, total honesty. So what happened was so this document kind of breaks down. We've been on the phone with legal since March 21st. I'm sorry, Brandy, for that bill. But we've been on the phone with them back and forth in regards to what do we do? How do we fix this? Because what happened was the report cards, some of them, not all of them, but some of them carried over to 2 pages. So the way that the settings were, however it worked, it went over to 2 pages, which shouldn't have been an issue, but because the student's ID number wasn't on both sheets, that's how it's separated. So it carried over. So some people got their child's report card and then somebody else's attendance report, or some parents got somebody else's report card and their own child's attendance report. So it was a disaster. So as soon as we found that out, so parents started calling us about Friday evening. And so we got on the phone. Of course, it's the weekend at this point, right? So you're kind of waiting for troubleshooting and stuff like that from both programs. But PowerSchool and SchoolNet, PowerSchool and School Messenger. So School Messenger is a program we use to communicate. It pulls information from PowerSchool. So that's where this all came from. That's the information that's in PowerSchool. So long story short, we were able to break the link and stop that as of Monday morning. We finally got through and were able to investigate like what happened. Why did it work perfectly in December and then in this month it's going the wrong places? Like, with FERPA, like that's a big no-no. Like you can't send that stuff out to the wrong people. And then we had to figure out who got what, because some of the kids, there was no issues at all. So that's how we were able to, with the School Messenger folks, with PowerSchool folks, with the legal team, we're able to narrow down that it was because it drove to 2 pages. And the way it read it was supposed to be by student ID. And because it said student ID and the number, it didn't say student ID and the number just like that in those wordings on the second page. That's why it didn't go through. So one of the pages had the student ID and the number, and the other page just had the number. And so that's where it got messed up. So long story short, we will not be using that system for the remainder of this school year to send out report cards.
So we were able to fix that and shut everything off and break the links. And so now, again, we were lucky it only went to parents, but still, we haven't had any issues where it's been misused or anything like that. But if that were to be the case, of course, we would handle that. So that was the issue we had with report cards. That we've been able to kind of fix since then. And then we're like, okay, oh my gosh, what a mess. Then, 2 weeks later, on April 1st, we had an issue where it started emailing, the system started calling people and telling them that their kids were absent for the day. And they were not absent, they were there. So I'm like, what is happening? What is happening? So the other piece, again, with School Messenger, with that program, there was an automatic feature in there that would start pulling attendance records, which is great. Like, I do want it to call you if it's right. Okay, I don't want you to call you if it's wrong. So it was starting to pull, like, when you take attendance during the day, it's you go by periods. So for example, one of the kids, their parents got called, he was here, could have been late to 6th period, marked absent, the teacher didn't go back in and fix it, so that parent got a phone call that he was absent for the day. He was not, he was there, but that one code sent it into notification mode. And we did not okay that. We had never said that we wanted that to start. So unfortunately, when something got updated and changed with attendance codes, it started sending out attendance notifications, which is a great system. Like, I want it to call you and tell you if your kid's not here, but I want it to be accurate. So we, again, have shut off all of that too. We've shut down so many things. Now people are like, hey, I'm not getting anything. I'm like, I'd rather you have nothing than what you've been getting lately. But so we're trying to piecemeal just pick the things and make sure we're being super specific about who's getting what, because it was sending attendance reports to emergency contacts. So then aunts and uncles and grandparents were getting notifications about kids. So we've had it about up to here right now with the communication tool, but I feel like it's a learning opportunity, unfortunately for us. Again, we have never used that program before. The folks running the program for us were familiar with how to send secure documents, but didn't have a clue that there was an issue in there in regards to when it carries over to 2 pages, how it reads those 2 pages. So I think it can be successful in the future, but now we're just super shy about pushing any buttons, notify anybody. So right now, everybody's just getting emails and that's it. We are trying to update our text messaging system and trying to get that system up and going again, but it's just been that transition from the Swift K-12 program that we've used for several years to switch into something new, which is School Messenger. So it was a very unfortunate situation. Again, people were like, well, where did it go? And it was hard to track. I don't know who got that document, who didn't. So anyway, so the legal team, like I said, has kind of put all of what I've kind of said summary wise in this document for you. So in case you do get questions or people are like, what's going on or what have they done with that? And can we get to the bottom of it? This is kind of a summary of the events that took place and then what we as a school did to fix it, and then what we're doing in the future, to repair it so that doesn't happen again. So technology is great when it works the way it's supposed to. But again, we're going to do some more training and things like that before we use this program again, just to try to make sure we're checking all our boxes. But that was a very frustrating situation for a lot of folks. So, but you will see that document in your folder with more details. Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Any questions for Ms. Reagan on any of it? Okay. That was a great academic update. Thank you. Old business, safety plan, Ms. Bacon?
Nothing new to report at this time, besides, I'll take that back. We are in the process of the grant that we received, getting some of those things installed and ready to rock and roll. So we had met with Mr. Whittington, who's over our maintenance department. And he's working on quotes and installations and some really fun things that we're gonna be able to do to update our campus. And once those kind of get going, I'll be able to share kind of updates, pictures and stuff like that. But he's rocking and rolling with those quotes.
Okay, thank you. And then 2026 charter renewal?
Nothing new at this time in regards to that.
Okay. Thank you. That takes us to governance, committee updates. Ms. Merle, governance?
Nothing at this time.
Ms. Lane, finance?
Nothing at this time.
Ms. Foster, academics?
We will be having a meeting on May 13th, discussing the final check-ins and hopefully what we're going to be doing as we push towards those end of year and end of grade tests.
Thank you. Mr. Huffine, long range,
Yeah, I only got 2 items. Still working on a few warranty items for the high school building, trying to wrap some of those up. And then last is the multi-use building that we've been talking about for several months now. So instead of being in the back where the classroom wing currently sits, we're gonna move it to the other side when you're facing the building to the left, in that flat area. So mainly to minimize costs and still working with the county as far as permits and all the codes the wonderful codes building codes that go along with that. And so we are working with some prices with architects and still looking at construction costs, trying to be, as much as cost effective as we can. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
okay, thank you. And then no updates for fundraising. So for new business, board member elections, we have a few members rolling off. We will discuss more in closed session and then come out and kind of give a status as state of the union of where we're at with that. Ms. Simmons, cafeteria inspections for K-8 and high school?
Yes, ma'am. So we had, they came in March for K-8 and high school, and those are in your folder for review. And if you have any questions, please let me know, but there was nothing that was significant. There were a couple recommendations, but that's typical.
Okay, thank you. And then the insurance renewal?
Yes, so, we renewed our insurance, our insurance runs from April 1, to 3/31 every year. And so we renewed, we put it out for bid, of course, and renewed our property liability and our workers' comp, property liability and auto is Utica, and our workers' comp is Hartford. There was about 11% increase this year, and that they're kind of seeing that across the board. And that also includes 4% in the property. And our workers' comp, actually, because of our audit last year, we got a pretty big significant credit back this year. So that'll be good going forward for 25, 26. But it increased about $6,700 total for the year. It runs about 63,000 a year. All of it.
That's workers' comp, or that's all three.
That is not workers' comp, that is the property and liability and
Gotcha,
auto.
Gotcha.
But it's done, it's renewed. Signed, sealed, and delivered. But if you have any questions or anything, I'll be glad to, I didn't put the manual in there, but y'all are more than welcome. It's a big old book.
Okay. Any questions? Anything else for open session? If not, do I have a motion to move into closed session under General Statute 143-318.11A156? Ms. Russell, second, Ms. Merle, all in favor? Maybe that was Ms. Foster, I'm sorry.
It was, I didn't say.
Hands in the way.